All right, welcome to Sports Watch on a Tuesday. And joining me on via Zoom today is Hayden Mitchell, President of the Tennis Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Mitchell, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for waking up and joining us this early.
Good morning, Kent. Good morning to you guys in the studio and to all your listening audience. And I would like to take some of that passion that you just showed and put it into tennis.
Mr. Mitchell, tell me how things have been with tennis throughout the COVID-19 pandemic.
Like everybody else, in the world, we've been affected. 2020 was supposed to be one of the most prolific years for tennis in Trinidad and Tobago. This is in terms of hosting tournaments locally. We are going to have over 12 international tournaments. And
wow.
If you understand in terms of sport tourism what that means, it's really big for Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, this is coming on the heels of ITF giving Tennis TT an award for tennis development in Trinidad and Tobago and the region. It has never been done before. So sport tourism, we would have had over those 12 tournaments, we'd have had over 1,000 athletes coming to Trinidad and Tobago over the space of the year. And just think of the income earning potential that is for Trinidad and Tobago.
I know we have a brand new facility that is, amazing in my view, because I've been to it a couple of times. But there's room there for all forms of the sport, whether it be lawn tennis, badminton, table tennis. Now, that facility, how do you see that playing a role in, us producing world-class tennis players? I know in terms of table tennis, we had the late great Dexter, St. Louis, sorry, yes, who played an important role in raising the profile of table tennis. But tennis in general, tell me, how do you see that facility working in your favor?
Well, when we first came in, our executive came in a few years ago. We were met with an association that needed to be rebranded. We had a lot of structure to do. And then we were met with this big facility. And what we found is that a lot of people, the hierarchy did not know what to do. What we did is we developed a 4-year development plan with the ITF, and this is about 3.5 years ago. It took us a while, but we now have ITF on board. And what that is going to do for Trinidad and Tobago now is that this is going to be a training and development center for the region for ITF. So what we're going to be doing is we're now able to host international tournaments of a certain level. So you can have ATP, WTA tour tournaments. We can now have developmental tournaments for the region, developmental camps. We can have proper structured coaching situations, coaching conferences. We've hosted quite a few Caribbean coaching conferences at the facility already. So this facility, once properly developed, has enormous potential for Trinidad and Tobago, not only in tennis, but in the other sports as well. But we are focusing on tennis and the development with the ITF.
Now, tennis, and so recently we started back the Tranquil Open that was canceled last year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Getting that tournament back up and running, there was some, I guess would have said, forget about it. What made it important for the Tennis Association to get that tournament back up and running?
Well, for us, it was not only that tournament, but it was getting people out playing tennis. Very early on in the pandemic, we were quite proactive. We've been liaising with the ITF and following their guidelines, and we developed our own. And we're able to send that out within the first couple of weeks of the pandemic. In conjunction with the ITF to the Ministry of Sport. We had meetings with the minister just to make sure that we could get back out there and play, because we understood the importance of it. Tennis is one of the few, and I must say one of the lucky sports that you can actually physically distance. So in terms of participating and in terms of what we have to do, we could run tournaments without compromising the health and security and safety of the participants.
What are some of the measures you have put in place to ensure the safety of the participants or persons, coming out to the tennis courts to play?
Right. So we have produced a document that has all the guidelines. It's actually on our website. So we're talking about from the time you enter the court, with your mask, you sanitize. When you're playing, You walk with your own ball, so you don't touch the other person's balls, that kind of thing. We also have strict rules in terms of, with doubles and what they have to do in those occasions. And all these things, of course, on our website, but they're all in conjunction with the ITF.
And as another note, you're also part of the sport company of Trinidad and Tobago. I know it has been a challenge for some of our national athletes to get back into the facilities. But what is the sport company now focusing on in terms of, getting our athletes out there and preparing for international tournament ahead in 2021?
Right. So yes, on the sport side, I'm actually the director in charge of facilities and projects. So that falls right in my lap. What we're able to do, again, very early on, we were quite proactive at sport, is to get our same procedures out, so that the COVID-19 process, so that once people come back into the facilities, we had our process and procedures to make sure that they are safe to train. The sport companies' focus really right now is on the Olympic cycle. All right, so we have Olympics this year, and we are focused on getting the athletes at Olympic bound ready to train. Those that are training in Trinidad have access to the facilities, and this is through their governing bodies. So the process is they have to go through their governing bodies, because we want to make sure these are actually the athletes that are Olympic bound. And then they will write to sport, and then we will facilitate the use of the facilities.
All right, Mr. Mitchell, again, what made that decision? What allowed you all to make that decision this year in particular? Regarding the focus on the Olympic athletes. Because you will have persons saying that, we want to train too, of course,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, as my chairman always says, this is Douglas Camacho. When you look at Jamaica, and I see you mentioned Jamaica earlier, you have a lot of athletes who are top class sprinters, right? And they actually do not train in the stadium, right? They train in fields, they train on tracks, and they train on grounds. However, for some reason in Trinidad, we like to train on the tracks, right? So, which is not necessary. So if you think of all the athletes in Trinidad and Tobago who may or may not be Olympic bound, they all want to train in the facilities, which really is not necessary. So given the pandemic, of course, you cannot have a lot of athletes in the facilities at the same time. So we had to have some sort of stipulation or some sort of policy document that would guide us as to who gets to use it. Given that it's an Olympic year, of course, we want to focus on the athletes that are Olympic bound, so they will have first access to the facilities.
Mr. Mitchell, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I hope we can continue this conversation in the future. So thanks again, and all the best to you and the Tennis Association of Trinidad and Tobago.
No problem. Thanks, Kent.